Hello students, I am LV Angbar. Today we will study English first flight book of class 10th and here it's poem number 3rd, A Tiger in the Zoo, is written by Leslie Norris. Dear students, in this video we will cover reading, explanation as well as some typical words meaning, and also we will talk about the literary devices used in the poem and rhyme scheme. So at very first we will know about the poet. Here George Leslie Norris, the pick of George Leslie Norris, and he was a prize winning Welsh poet and short story writer. He is considered as most important Welsh writers of the post-war period and his literary works have won many prizes. His famous works are Finding Gold, The Loudbinder, Phoenix Living Poets series, and Ransoms, etc. Now let's go to the poem. Before begin the poem, I will I would like to give you the brief introduction to the poem. A Tiger in the Zoo poem by Leslie Norris explains the agony and helplessness of a caged tiger that lives in a zoo. The poet explains what his life could be if he had been a free animal. The poet has tried to explain about the condition of animals that are caged by human beings for their own fun. Now, let's recite the poem. He stalks in his vivid stripes the few steps of his cage on pads of velvet quiet in his quiet rage. Let's see the typical words. Stalks means here follows, and vivid means here having deep or bright colors, as you can see in the given picture, the pic of tiger. And pads means here the paws of the tiger, as also given the pic of paw of tiger. Rage means here violent, uncontrollable anger. We can say here the extreme anger, the extreme rage. Let's see the explanation. Here the poet says that the tiger that is confined in the zoo moves around in the cage under his bright colored skin. He further says that the tiger can take only a few steps because the cage is small and it is not easy to move in it. One cannot hear his footsteps because he has very soft feet, like velvet, because of which there is no sound of the tiger's footsteps. The tiger tries to control his anger by quietly walking in the limited area of his cage. So he is angry because he is not free. Now let's discuss about literary devices. First of all, we would talk about the rhyming scheme. As a whole poem, the entire poem is written in the same rhyming scheme, that is A B C B. Not in this stanza, but the whole poem is written in the same rhyming scheme. The literary device personification means that the tiger is personified because the poet refers him as a person, because the pronoun he is given for the same as a person. So he is used as directly to the tiger. The next device metaphor. Tiger's paws are compared with the velvet. Here the comparison between the tiger's paws and the velvet. So we can say here the metaphor device is used. And the next one, enjambment. Enjambment means here the sentence is continuing to the next line without any punctuation mark. That is called the enjambment. Some more devices are there. Imagery. Here poet tries to create an image about the tiger. Actually, the scene that is in front of us, only we can imagine it. So the strong imagery used in the poem. Next device here, consonants, use of s. We can say here that any sound is prominent in the sentence, that is called the consonants, and consonant sound is prominent. So here s sound in these word stalks, hedge and stripes. Here s sound is prominent, so that is consonants. The similar device, that is assonance. Assonance means here the use of vowel sound. In the consonants, the use of consonant sound, and assonance means here the use of vowel sound. That is here I in his vivid stripes. So here in his vivid stripes, I sound is prominent. So that is the assonance. And the next device, that is oxymoron, use of adjectives opposite in meaning. As you can see in the last line, quiet rage. In both the word, they are opposite to each other. Such as quiet means here silent, but rage means here extreme rage. So both are the opposite. So that is oxymoron. Hope you have understood. Now let's go to the next stanza. He should be lurking in shadow, sliding through long grass near the water hole where plump deer pass. Here lurking means remaining hidden so as to bait in ambush. Now, the poet says that if this tiger was free, he would have hid himself behind the long grass near the water bodies so that he could easily catch a deer in order to have it as its food. Basically, the poet wants to say that the actual life of a tiger is to live in jungle where he could catch his prey and eat it. But the tiger in the cage cannot do so. Here also the literary devices they are used in the second stanza. Rhyme scheme already I have told you that the whole poem is written in the same rhyming scheme A B C B. Now here enjambment also already explained that the sentence continuously to the next line without any punctuation mark. So the line is given here, the sliding through to deer pass without any punctuation mark, that is called the enjambment. The next device, that is alliteration. Use of sound P at the start of two words plum pass. Here the any sound that is prominent in the sentence, that is called the alliteration. The repetition of any the same sound. So that is alliteration. Here the word plum pass, P sound is prominent. And the last, imagery. The poet has tried to create an image of tiger's activities. Actually, while we study the poem or read the poem, just the scene of cage inside the and it's inside the tiger. A tiger in the cage. The scene is in front of us. So that is imagery. Now let's go to the next stanza. He should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge, wearing his white fangs, his claws terrorizing the village. Here, snarls means makes an angry warning sound, and bearing means exposing, uncovering. And fangs means a large sharp tooth, especially a canine tooth of a dog or wolf. Here, the poet says that if the tiger would have been free, he would have snarled around the houses located at the outskirts of the forest. He would terrorize people with his sharp tooth and claws. This would create fear among the people living in the villages. Nasi. Literary devices. Enjambment. Already explained. Line continues to the next line without any punctuation mark. So here he should be snarling around houses at the jungle's edge. The next new device, that is onomatopoeia. Onomatopoeia using words which denote the sound. Where the words denote some sound, that is called the onomatopoeia. Here the word snarling suggests the sound of a tiger, that is onomatopoeia. Go to the next stanza. But he is locked in a concrete cell. His strength behind bars, stalking the length of his cage, ignoring visitors. Here, concrete means a building material made from a mixture of broken stone or gravel, sand, cement, and water, which can be spread or poured into molds and forms a mass resembling stone on hardening, that is very hard. It's called concrete. Now, the poet comes to the reality of the tiger, that is inside the cage. He says that the tiger is confined in a strong cell, which is made of strong building material. He further says that as the tiger is behind bars, so his ferociousness is also behind the bars. He just stalks in the cage. He never tries to terrorize the visitors because his power is restricted by the cage. Therefore, he never tries to terrorize the visitors as he cannot attack them. Now, the literary devices, the rhyming scheme, same. The already device is used in the previous stanzas. So, personification, the tiger is personified because the poet refers him as the person. And the next one, assonance, this also already used because here the vowel sound is prominent. So, in these words, E sound is prominent in the word he, logged, and concrete, cell. The next divide, that is similar with the assonance, that is consonants, use of consonant sound. S sound is prominent in these words, his, strength, and bars. And the next one, alliteration, use of sound B at the start of two words behind bars. Continuously sound is given B behind and bars, that is called the alliteration. Now let's to see the last stanza. He hears the last voice at night, the patrolling cars, and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Here, patrolling means keeping watch over by regularly walking or traveling around it. The poet says. Here, the poet says that in the night, the tiger hears the sound of the patrolling cars. Patrolling cars are the vehicles of police which are used to guard at night. So, in the night, the tiger hears the sound of these cars. He then stares at the shining stars with his shining eyes. The poet wants to say that the tiger is sad and as he is confined in the cage, so he cannot do anything. Therefore, he stares only at the stars in the night and tries to divert his thoughts towards them. Now, see the literary devices. Rhyme scheme is the same as used in the whole poem, that is A B C B. The enjambment already used in I think every stanzas. The line 3 continues to line 4 without any punctuation mark here and stares with his brilliant eyes at the brilliant stars. Means here without any punctuation marks from line 3 to line 4th without any punctuation mark, that is called enjambment. And the next one here, alliteration, use of sound H in the starting of two words as given here, he hears. So here the S sound is prominent in the words he and hears. The next divide, assonance, use of I sound with his brilliant. Already discussed and explained the assonance, alliteration, enjambments, many more devices, they are all explained. Hope that you have understood thoroughly. Now the poem comes to an end. Thank you.